we have Francisco Araya, CEO of Centinela, and his presentation. He'll be delving into the essential elements necessary to defend and promote OpenStack as a strategic cloud infrastructure choice. So, an applause in the beginning, please. Yeah, very good.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Yeah, I want to share in this presentation my experience, well, our experience as a company, trying to sell OpenStack. For the last 10 years, we've been working with OpenStack and building cloud environments with this platform. Okay, so our purpose here is to convincing IT and C-level decision makers over how OpenStack is a compelling solution among various alternatives. And we are going to see a comparison between VMware. We are going to check where VMware is a strong competitor here. OpenShift, we know that OpenShift now does virtualization. We have seen some customers requiring to work with OpenShift virtualization, Proxmox, for, I don't know, people that are moving from VMware and they just want a light virtual machines solutions, and public cloud. And before we start, about me, well, I work in Centinela. I'm from Chile, but I live in Mexico, so that's why we are here. We build OpenStack clouds for the last 10 years. We worked on also in for other countries in Latin America, and yeah, we founded Centinela to help to work with the technologies, like OpenStack. Our goal is to narrow the gap between architecture phase and the day two. We call it now what we can do with this kind of technology. Well, let's see. Okay, as I mentioned before, we're going to work with the cloud ecosystem landscape consisting in VMware, which is mature, enterprise grade. Everyone works with that, or at least they have been working with that and they have experience with this platform. OpenShift, which now includes virtualization. Public cloud like AWS, Azure, GCP. Proxmox, which is lightweight. It's open source, but has a small community. And others, we have seen like deployments with Nutanix, Virtuoso, Harvester, etc. And finally, OpenStack, which is community-driven, open source, scalable, flexible, avoids locking, and it has a large ecosystem. Okay, so selling OpenStack, the common barriers. Well, we have seen stuff like a perceived complexity. Sometimes OpenStack is seen as a complex niche product. Like people think that it's just for telco or ultra specialized teams. In Mexico, we have seen that this is one of the biggest problems in adoption. When I have meetings with someone who wants to have a new environment, well, they tell me this, I don't have the people, I don't have experience, my team is not prepared. Well, we will see how to overcome something like this, okay? And we also have fear of limited vendor support. Okay, of course, people want these kind of solutions handed to them on a silver platter, So, yeah, sometimes they ask, hey, I have um, my deployment and I want my brand to uh, work on an OpenStack deployment. Uh, Also, we have existing sunk costs, for example, Bingware. So in this scenario, we have a customer that already paid licenses, and they want to work with these uh, platforms. Also, we have concerns about TCO. With this, I mean that an organization is worried about all the expenses and resources required to over the entire life cycle of the project. Uh, Internal skill gaps. Um, Sometimes the customers think that they don't have the technical knowledge. I think I mentioned that before, but yeah, that happens a lot. And finally, uh, like a trend, sometimes they say it's out of fashion, OpenStack. They have this perception. Um, they think that this industry bus is shifting towards containerization and that OpenStack only works with virtual machines and nothing else, which is not true. Okay, so how can we overcome these objections? Okay, we start with training and training availability. We tell them that they are not alone. Um, the community and the ecosystem of vendors and service providers are both they have the skills, the resources, and the support needed to run OpenStack successfully. Also, we can approach them to have hybrid or managed deployments. I mean, they don't have to adopt a fully new, brand new OpenStack environment. We can work with some first steps for the adoption, working with a hybrid deployment. And also they can have outsource expertise for them to work with. Also, well, we have license savings. Okay. Um, in this scenario, we are talk with a CFO or some customers that have financial constraints. Uh, well, this is like the golden ticket for us because if we speak with them, uh, we tell them that OpenStack is open source. It's no price. They don't have per socket licensing. Uh, we can persuade an both an IT leadership or C-level stakeholders to take this choice. Also, an established ecosystem and tools on the other side means that even with existing agreements, there's plenty of room where OpenStack can play a role. Uh, we know that Red Hat, Canonical, companies that big, they have a solution for that. And some customers feel very good about this companion. Okay, about community driving innovation, well, innovation doesn't rely on a single vendor, but rather on a vibrant ecosystem, uh, redefining and enhancing the platform, often more rapidly and transparently than proprietary solutions. And finally, sovereignty. With OpenStack, we can support an organization's desire for infrastructure and data sovereignty, providing on-premises control, regulatory compliance, freedom from property constraints. This is a selling point. Okay, and we have this process where we have 6 phases. from opportunity to execution of the project. We have a first phase from organizational context where we have some questions and factors that we can measure to help the customer to make the choice. So, we're going to talk about organizational context. First, what can we ask them? Is the company a telco? Or does it have some NFB needs or special networking latency requirements? Okay, if yes, then definitely it, it can be a candidate for an open source ecosystem like OpenStack, or maybe specialized telco distributions. But in this field, OpenStack is very powerful to take the choice. Also, what's the current scale, of the organization's cloud footprint? Okay, here we see if the organization is small or it's just starting. Well, we can consider the ease of entry. Maybe we can tell them to go for a managed OpenStack solution. If it is big on the other side and it has existing virtualization needs, maybe we can evaluate the synergy with existing hypervisors or container platforms. Uh, does the organization have strong in-house capability? Do they have the people? If they have strong in-house IT capability, well, they will have more openness to complex solutions like OpenStack or maybe self-managed OpenShift. But if they have strong in-house, well, maybe simple solutions or a managed approach. Again, like a public cloud or maybe managed OpenStack. In the phase two, well, we see if the workload characteristics and current architecture um, match with the dominant workloads. If they are VM-based, containerized, or a mix. If they have mostly VMs, well, VMware is very mature, but it's costly. We have seen that. Proxmox is simpler, but it has fewer enterprise features. So if the customer needs to have strong integrations with APIs, etc., it's not good enough. Here, OpenStack excels at large scale VM orchestration. Also, if they are container heavy, OpenShift, maybe it could be an alternative. We know that they have the Red Hat backing, but also we can go for the path with OpenStack plus Kubernetes, maybe Magnum, maybe Kubernetes on OpenStack. It can be powerful enough if you want to some kind of open source scenario. And a mix of both, maybe hybrid solutions like OpenStack with container orchestration or even OpenShift virtualization if you want all-in-one. Speaking about high availability, well, if high availability is mission critical, enterprise support from vendors may be appealing, but OpenStack is proven at the scale for private hybrid clouds. So yeah, we are sure that advanced HA setups will be fine here. On the other side, Proxmox can do HA, but it's typically considered a simple stack. And finally, an API integration needs. If we need extensive custom integrations, OpenStack or maybe OpenShift. If we don't need that, maybe Proxmox. If we need public APIs, and want to avoid on-prem, maybe public cloud. Um, if we have some heavily dependencies on vSphere APIs, maybe VMware. Well, and we also ask them if there's a roadmap for microservices, DevOps, or containerization. If yes, OpenShift or OpenStack plus Kubernetes can accelerate cloud-native transformations. If not, traditional virtualization-based solutions may be sufficient, but we can still evaluate OpenStack, thinking in the future, to be ready. If there are some timeline and resources constraints, if we need to modernize immediately with minimal fraction, well, again, we can consider public cloud or a fully managed stack. Even if we have time, well, if the customer has time and in-house skills, maybe OpenStack of self-manages OpenShift. On regulatory specialized industry requirements, well, is there any data sovereignty requirements? If yes, we can lean towards an on-prem solution. Here, OpenStack is very powerful. If not, public cloud may be fine, but we recommend a hybrid approach. For telco-specific NFV, okay, OpenStack has a track record, So uh, we know that public clouds have 5G edge solutions, but using OpenStack can be a benefit for the customer. And in terms of budget, licensing and logging concerns, well, if there's cost sensitivity is high, well, OpenStack and Proxmox are strong contenders. If it's medium, maybe OpenShift. If the customer has Red Hat agreements, etc. And if it's slow, VMware can be feasible, but if it fits with existing workloads, like if we don't have containers, maybe it can be sufficient, but if they plan to do in the future some containerization, well, we recommend using OpenStack. And in terms of vendor locking, if locking is a concern, well, open source solutions like OpenStack are attractive, And if locking is less of a concern, but we trust with the vendor ecosystem, proprietary solutions can be considered, but under the revision of the other factors that we have seen before. So, to end these phases, OpenStack, we recommend OpenStack for a large-scale open source private hybrid cloud, or if they need NFV. VMware, well, we know that it's for existing skill sets that the organization needs, and if they don't want to move from there, it's okay. OpenShift, if they have containerization and they are focused on that. Proxmox, if they want a lightweight open source virtualization stack, and public cloud. We have this comparison on this graph, and looking into these factors, we see that OpenStack may be a clear winner. So, okay, we have finalized the comparison, but what can I do to try to close the deal? Well, we can do a C-level pitch, and I'm going to show you this exercise very quickly. First, we start with a cost breakdown. Let's then we do a TCO comparison, cost per VM, uh, and finally we give them the OpenStack value proposition, and also to secure the deal, we also tell them about the risk mitigation, because some other stakeholders can be or can have doubts. So this way we can help them to make the decision. So on a cost breakdown, well, this is rather small deployment. Maybe it's 1,000 VMs, but clearly here OpenStack is one of the most attractive alternatives in terms of cost. In terms of monthly cost per VM, yeah, OpenStack also has is very attractive. Um, Looking at the, for example, public cloud offerings that, yeah, at the start it looks good, but working with a high volume like 1,000 VMs, it can be and it can turn a little bit too expensive. Um, Finally, a TCO comparison. Well, we see that OpenStack also has something to say here, because maybe it can be compared with Proxmox, but it's so much powerful here. And in terms of risk mitigation, well, first we have we tell them to budget for initial training and certification for team members in order to uh, help them to operate the solution or the platform by themselves if they want to. Maybe we can consider consulting services for an initial architecture and deployment. And finally, engage with the OpenStack community for ongoing support. Um, Speaking about hardware, well, we always tell them to have or to plan for 20% additional capacity, because uh, we have seen that the solution can be successful and they will start to migrate there. And if the cloud is full, um, the customer has some issues getting new hardware. You know, maybe it can take a lot of time to get the new hardware, and they have some needs that can be resolved immediately. So we always tell them to reserve like 20% of capacity. Uh, Also, we suggest to implement rolling hardware upgrades to manage life cycle. And we also tell them to consider warranty extension on critical components. Um, then we speak about operation efficiency. Um, we document standard operating procedures, um, implement infrastructure as code practices. We always try to help them to operate OpenStack at scale. And as far as we know, using infrastructure as code will help them to accomplish this. And finally, automate routine maintenance tasks. So yeah, we always suggest this because we see that some legacy teams that will operate OpenStack will have to deal with this, and they will have a bad experience if they don't have these practices from the start. So yeah, uh, as conclusions, well, we say that OpenStack is far more than legacy infrastructure tool. It's mature and community-driven, highly adaptable solution capable of meeting modern enterprise needs. And we also say that deploying new OpenStack-based environments, it's something absolutely doable at this time. But it's important to identify the scenario where the organization can benefit from the maturity that OpenStack has gained over the past 15 years. We have seen that. We started OpenStack, I don't know, maybe with Diablo version, and it was like we have to find like 5 different installation guides to finally accomplish one deployment. And now it's so mature that some people that are just starting with the platform can be can have a successful deployment. You know. Okay, that will be all. I want to thank Scale and Open Infra Foundation for this opportunity. And if you have any question or you want to contact me, this is uh, my card is at this link to get in touch. Okay? Thank you.